Hello, and welcome to Cult of Tea and Dice Let's Play. I am Bloodied, and we're doing another spooky game for October. This is Home. As you see, it's a unique horror adventure by Benjamin Rivers. So what I know of this game is it's almost sort of like a create your own story by way of interacting with it. That's all I really know about it. Generally good reviews, so let's give it a try and see how it goes. Okay, will be saved automatically at certain points, however we recommend you put aside an hour and a half and complete Home in a single sitting. Okay, we'll see what we can get. Turn up the sound, turn off the lights. Spooky. All I remembered at that point was finding myself alone. Oh. Oh, my head. Where was I? It was so dark. Oh, okay, eyes are open. There was something by my feet. A flashlight. Ah, okay, there's me. And controlled by cursor, okay. Got west? No, it's just the arrow keys, okay. Okay, so into space for that. That house. Where was I? Okay. Okay, so down. Okay, press down on the arrow keys and I can do that. Ooh, okay. There was a body lying on the floor. Who was it? I didn't recognize his face. He was still kind of warm. So I could ignore it, or I guess I could keep checking it. Okay, he was still kind of warm. Okay, so no, there's nothing further there. There's a cat. Sorry, I thought it was a goblin for a second there. There's a random condom. Okay, I mean, I'm guessing it's a light, but I don't know. It looks more like a fucking condom to me. Okay, so there's a downstairs, or we can keep going up here. Oh, got new Resident Evil door transitions. Always a classic. The desk had a computer and some papers on it, and a single drawer. I didn't want to snoop, but did I open the drawer? See, this is how so it's like it's told in past tense and you make the decisions, so we'll say yes, I opened the drawer. Receipts, pens, and a blurry photo. Looked like a store of some kind. Why did this look so familiar? Okay. I really shouldn't have been going through this stuff, getting my fingerprints everywhere. Well, that doesn't bode well. I'm going to get arrested. Blood on the wall. It smelled fresh and sickening. I realised there was blood on my shoes and pants. Oh man, I had to get out of there. Uh-oh, can I get framed for murder? Unless I did the murder. It's not really framing. There's a drip from the ceiling. I noticed that I limped as I moved down the stairs. How did I hurt my leg, I wondered. All I could really recall was coming home, seeing Rachel. I was upset. She looked afraid. I shook my head and tried to clear it. I knew I should head downstairs, try to find a way out. The shelf was full of books on local history and hunting. It seemed like the owner of the house really knew the area. Okay, so there's a door there. The picture of the Bride of Frankenstein, I guess. Oh, there's a basement. Go in the creepy basement. A thin grey mouse was stuck in a trap. It looked frantic but exhausted. Did I free it? Yes, we'd have freed the mouse. Another condom. Well equipped. A collection of rusty tools. These looked like they'd seen a lot of use and were caked in damp-smelling dirt. Why weren't they in the shed? Oh, are we going to bury a body? Oh, I found a picture of a couple. It looked like it had been moved a lot. There seemed to be a switch behind it. Did I push the switch? Yes! It depressed smoothly into the wall. I heard a faraway click somewhere. That's interesting. Basement, maybe? Let's check the basement. Why not? Nothing bad can happen in the spooky basement. Ooh, more condoms. Okay. The door was taped up and seemed to be stuck, but the smell, I guessed it led to the kitchen. I can hear a heartbeat, that's great. I looked like hell. My clothes were dirty and torn, and there was mud caked all over my shoes. The front door was blocked by a pile of furniture. I knew I had to find another way out. The bathroom was incredibly clean. Every surface had been thoroughly wiped, and nothing seemed out of place. There was a photo development tray lying on the floor. Some leftover negatives were sticking out, but they were pretty blurry. I thought I saw what looked like treetops. Uh-oh, enough photo development in the last door. It seemed odd that the tray had been left there, considering how clean the rest of the bathroom was. Okay, so in theory there was another couple of... So all the items seem to have like a couple of interactions, so I can keep interacting with them. I really do not like these transitions. Had I been sleepwalking again? Was that how I got to that house? That house or this house? Oh, hello. The tape's down. Why is there papers on the wall? There were sheets of paper all over the kitchen table. It looked like a series of names were written down, but they were too smudged to read. I could only make out a few of the notes. Keycard. Ochre. Last one. I promise. Didn't make much sense at the time. The smell of old dishes and mouldy food was dizzying. And there's the mouse again. Nothing else to interact with there. The switch in the wall appeared to have unlocked the door. Oh. I just keep expecting every time I do the transition, something is going to fucking jump out at me. Oh, hello. The box looked heavy, but there were marks on the floor. It had obviously been moved before. Maybe I'd found a way out. I must have moved it, right? Yes. I heaved the box forward and it finally gave. There was a ladder going underground, where the box was. A dank smell rose from the passage. Did I climb down the ladder? Yes. I think I was going to do anything else. My leg hurt like hell as I climbed down that ladder. The tunnel below was even darker, and the smell wasn't getting any better. But I had to get out of there and find my way home. Ooh, he said the title. Okay. Footprints in the dirt. Looked like more than one kind, and a lot of traffic. Whatever this place was, it was obviously used a lot. Yeah, so too. Places all over were marked on the old map of town. The industrial area near the river, various houses, and even the water tower near the old rail station. Newspaper clippings from the local paper. They were all about murders in town over the last few years. Wait. There were photos. Photos of our house. What the hell was that about? Maybe I should have looked around more, tried to find some kind of information. Oh, Rachel, please be okay. I wanted to rush home, but I had to find a way out, and I needed to see what else was down there. A work table, covered in papers, dirt, and a handgun. I hated guns. I didn't take it, did I? Oh no, this is a quandary. I'm going to go with no. I didn't even want to touch the thing. Better I left it where it was. Hump the ladder. It was so dark down there, and the air smelled stale and putrid. I couldn't believe what I saw. What was this place? There was another ladder. There's some hooks, rusted hooks, like the kind you'd find in the butcher's, hung from the ceiling. They look putted and worn from heavy use. That man upstairs, did he do this? Or did we? Some kind of homemade rack, slung together with poorly cut wood and rope. It was caked with old blood. Somebody didn't actually use that, did they? The smell in that room was like old grease and rot. I wasn't getting any closer to finding anything useful. I was getting more nauseated the longer I stayed there. I felt sick and weak, like I hadn't eaten for days. Crudely made shelves. They looked like they were holding cans of some kind of corrosive. The labels were worn and slick, but I could still see the warnings. The slight fumes that still emanated from the cans made me dizzy. It looked like a cage. It was small, but there was something coating the bottom. Something wet. That place was getting worse all the time. I knew I had to keep moving. Okay, move along, player. Nothing else. Say player like that and I sound like Teddy Long. But don't go one-on-one with the Undertaker. Oh, there's a door. The desk looked old and was caked with grime. On it was a stack of old, faded paper, covered with what looked like names. They were scratched out, and illegible notes were written beside them in faded blue ink. I could only make out a few letters. H, if, A, L, R, F, O, Ro. None of it made any sense to me. There looked to be bones half dug into the ground, and the remains looked old. Who put them there? I wondered, what would I have found if I had dug deeper? Oh, if I'd taken the shovel, maybe I could have dug them up. Some kind of old boxes. They looked like they were years old. Wait a minute. These boxes had old clothes in them. Clothes I remembered throwing out after Rachel and I moved to town. What the hell were they doing there? If I was scared before, I was terrified now. Why were there photos of our house there? And these clothes? Was that why I was there? I checked my back pocket and realized my wallet was missing. Did I come to that house? Or did somebody bring me? Ah, bats! Spooky bats. Now I will become Batman. I remember noticing the broken ladder. I had to be careful. I don't remember if I jumped down there or found another way. It looked to be a long way. Did I jump down? On that busted leg? No. Maybe there was some other way to get down there without risking more injury to my leg. Okay, maybe there's something I can use. Okay, well no, that's just the same thing as before. So I can go back. So let's see if there's something I can... No, okay, I can't take the hooks. Oh, that's the gun table still. Can I get back up there? Those boxes would have allowed me to climb up the ladder again, but I didn't want to go back up there. Not with that body. All that blood. I knew I needed to take a look around. Okay, so no backtracking. Okay, is there anything else on the table other than the gun? A work table covered in papers, dirt, and a handgun. No. Okay, so there's got to be something down here. Press space again. I can use to get down there. Okay. Useful. Okay. I dug deeper. Okay. Maybe I can get across without falling down the hole. Okay, yeah. I thought I might fall down if I walked over it. Ooh, there was a rope hanging there. I wasn't sure how sturdy it was. Did I take it? Yes. Maybe the rope would make that broken ladder easier to descend. I'm sorry, did you want to repeat that, Mr. Skeleton? I have the rope now. There must have been a use for it around here somewhere. Okay, I'm not taking the hook. The rope I found would have let me climb down the broken ladder safely. Did I climb down? Yes! I could hear a faint hum, and the smell from before started to get worse. A bunch of old newspapers, wheat-pasted together. A message had been hastily smeared on it. Keep out. Danger due to cave-in. I wanted nothing more than to get out of there. My hands tingled from the burn of sliding down that rope. It was lucky I found that. Who knows what would have happened if I had jumped down? Still, it was all I could do to not have rushed out of that awful place. That rack, those terrible tools. What the hell was going on back there? Mid-2000s torture porn movie? The metal door groaned as I leaned into it, causing my heart to skip a beat at the sound. As I peered ahead into the dark of the next room, I worried that I should have taken the gun I saw. But me? With a gun? Well, yes, I'm British. Can't have that. An exposed ventilation shaft. Maybe someone crawled through there. But it was so high up. That must have been a sore landing. My leg ached just thinking about it. Oh. There was dirt on the ground. It looked wet, There was grass smeared within it. I could hear a faint trickling sound, like water. What was that? A kitchen knife, covered in drying blood. Thinking about it made me sick. I didn't even want to touch it. Did I take the knife? Okay, I'm going to take the knife. Somehow the knife seemed a better idea than the gun in that tunnel. Well, that was nice and startling. I wasn't sure, but I thought it was some kind of regulator. I had no idea how it worked. Okay, who is sawing down here? I wasn't sure what those valves were for. Did I turn it anyway? No. I left the valve alone. They might make Half-Life 3 if you just let them be. Okay, seriously, who is sawing? Is it the Jigsaw Killer? Is the Jigsaw Killer here? Okay, so... I seem to... So the patterns on the wall next to the valves seem to indicate that they do something. Oh, okay. Actually, because there's a mark there, and then there's... So is that showing where they should be? So, if we assume that is 2 up there, I'm pointing, and I don't know why, because you can't see it. I think that means... I wasn't sure what those valves were for. Did I turn it anyway? Yes. Okay. Instead, this one wasn't pumping water anymore. Oh, selective. Did I turn it again? Yes. No, I left the valve alone. Okay, so we look at valve number 1. Is this anyway? Yes. Aha! Jigsaw has been defeated. Is it? So it wasn't pumping water anymore. Take that, Jigsaw Killer. You son of a bitch. The door was locked. There was a musty smell from inside. There was a rusty ladder sunk into the water, which smelled disgusting. I knew I couldn't climb down that. Maybe I could find a way to drain the putrid water? Okay. Disgusting. It was a mess of filthy garbage bags. There were rips and tears in most of the bags. What looked like an old videotape was sticking out. Did I take the tape? No! I didn't want to keep holding junk around. I mean, who even has a VHS player? Okay, so I need to do something with valve number 2 as well. I thought I could turn this water valve to shut off its flow. Did I turn it? Did I turn it? Okay, so I just keep turning it. This valve. Okay, so I think that's all of them done. So that should... Okay, so that should... Oh, maybe the regulator can tell me something now. Through the dust, I could see handprints from previous use, probably from whoever worked in these sewers. Okay, so there's nothing useful there. Okay, door's still locked. Looked like the water drained out of that grate into the wall. There's a small metal key left floating in the shallow pool of rancid water. Did I take it? Yes. I pocketed the small key, but it was so odd-shaped, I had no idea what it might open. I'm hoping the exit door. The safety poster had definitely seen better days. How old was that facility? The faded paper was yellow and dusty, but there it had obviously been wiped off recently. Okay, the door was locked. I could see a faint light within. Light within. Oh, great, blood. Oh, goody, another dead person. I found another dead body. A sewer worker. By the wounds all over his face. Oh, and I'm holding the murder weapon, aren't I? I figured he'd been stabbed repeatedly. There was a keyring sticking out of the man's pocket. Did I take it? Yes. I thought about the knife I had found with some disgust as I carefully picked the keys from his pocket. I was almost worried he was going to grab me. I was feeling even more sick from seeing another dead man. I didn't want to get any more blood on my clothes. There's a jellyfish there. There was a security camera in the room. There must have been a way to see what had happened. I couldn't help but wonder if someone was watching me from the other side. I could smell a hint of fresh air here. I was anxious to leave, but I couldn't help wonder what that key unlocked. Oh, there we are. This must have been the other end of that ventilation shaft. Whoever used it could have gotten past that flooded room with this. Okay. Anyway, hold on. I've got the keyring now. I might be able to open that door. I used the keyring to unlock the door. The shelf full of security tapes was strictly organised, though covered in dust. It must have been old if they were still using VHS. Odd, one of the tapes was missing. Oh. The security desk was dusty, and there was a dirty coffee cup there. The VCR looked like it still worked. Okay, so I can get that tape, I can watch it and see what happened. I could solve the mystery. Videotape, and take the tape. I wonder what I hope to discover with the tape, but I took it anyway. You can find a lost episode of Doctor Who. You can sell it to the BBC. And then everyone will complain about Jodie Whittaker being woke or something, I don't know. There was a dusty VCR on the security desk. I wondered what was on that VHS tape I found. Did I play the tape? Yes. No. The video I'll try that again now I'm not being drowned out. Oh no, the video showed a man right there in the sewers being attacked. The tape looked fuzzy and stretched, like somebody had tampered with it. It looked like there could have been two men. I couldn't stand to watch that video again. Now see, because what information I choose to get affects the story, I'm starting to wonder if I'm going to end up being the killer just because I checked. I tried a bunch of the keys on the keyring I had found in that sewer worker, and one of them seemed to fit. A collection of stale liquor bottles covered the floor. That room didn't seem like much of a place for drinking. What was the point? The hall was littered with dozens of old, faded papers. Whoever did this was obsessed with some local murders. According to some of the clippings, bodies had been found in ravines, in the forest, and in one case, dumped in the back of an abandoned truck. I couldn't be sure, but I thought some of these same articles had also been pasted up back in those tunnels. Did that sewer worker find this room? Was that why he was killed? A faded receipt was half trampled on the floor. It was from the local train station, and was for 2 tickets. I didn't know what use it could be, but did I keep the receipt? No. I didn't think a filthy receipt was going to help me get out of there. Which is probably going to go badly for me. Escape from the room of static. God damn it! Yes, I did just jump at that. Fuck. I hate jump scares. I hate being startled. Being creeped out is fine. Being startled, not so keen on. Oh yeah, that's the murder room. The soiled knife I carried in my boot weighed heavily upon my mind as my leg ebbed with pain. As I made my way up the ladder, I thought again on the videotape. Who was it that didn't want to be seen? Was it the same person that hid all those newspaper clippings away in that locked room? Part of me almost wished I had never found out. As I reached the top of the ladder, I found a latch above me and tactlessly popped it open. I wasn't aware you could open a latch with tact, but okay. Suddenly, I caught the unexpected dank scent of pine trees. Okay, we're outside. Ow. Sure, let's just follow the arrow. I tried the little key I had fished out of the murky puddle in the sewers. It fit, and I heaved open the rusty door. The wind was picking up a bit. The night air had become strangely chilly. No, wait, no, okay. The old train station was quiet as a tomb. The only sound was the increasing wind buffeting the decrepit structure. An old map encased in glass hung on the wall. It was the train routes connected to that old station. As I looked at it, it seemed familiar. Of course, the map I found in those tunnels had similar locations marked, and the notes I found on the other man's bookshelf. His notes mentioned the water tower and even this train yard. What was he doing coming back here? The sorry condition of that place seemed sad somehow, but also ominous. We're back outside. In the torn opening of that ruined train were heaps of dirt and stale water. At the bottom, I thought I saw a scrap of cloth. As I looked closer, I could see that it was definitely some kind of nylon, maybe a windbreaker or some other outdoor clothing. There was too much of a mess on the ground to see any kind of footprints, but someone or something had definitely trod a regular path. Do I go through there? The wind was biting through my thin clothes, and I wasn't sure what else to make of the place. Okay, there's not really more I can do here. The ancient ticket booth was falling apart and covered in dust and grime. Stacks of paper lined the counter, faded remains of old schedules and reports. Among the papers were newer-looking sheets, covered in scribbles and some illegible notes. Come to think of it, the man in that house had kept similar scribbles hidden on his bookshelf, and he had notes on the water tower outside too. I guessed he could have been coming here. But why? What was he using this old station for? Okay. Okay, so I guess go back out here. This must have been the entrance to the forest that was mentioned on that map I'd seen. Whoever was poking around in those tunnels underneath that man's house had scribbled notes on this place, but I couldn't make them out. Here the sign pointed out various campsites and walking paths within the woods. It mentioned a river, and maybe a washroom, but the rest was too faded to see clearly. I almost wished I had paid more attention to those crazy scribblings. Maybe I would have been less nervous about entering that dark forest. Oh goody, we're going into the forest. Of course we are. Okay. Those cutscenes are really reminding me of like the old educational games we used to play on the BBC computers back at school. And this is me showing my age. If anyone else is in their late 30s and 40s, if you remember, in Britain, if you remember the old BBC computers at school. Little Pip's Island Adventure. Oh, and the witch's house. A dry old picnic table sat lonely among the trees. It had carvings and marks from years of previous campers. As I tried to read some of the names and the marks, I idly thumbed the knife I'd found. If I wanted to, I could have carved something on that table. Did I? Sure, why not? With a few crude strokes, I etched a simple design in the wood. R plus H. I felt like a teenager defacing the table. I read some of the other names and notes on the table surface. Rytron, K.U. Ma'ar, Uncle Phil, Henry, Daniel, David, Jenny. Seemed like the table had seen a lot of use over the years. It is the table. The path ended in a cold-looking river. I wasn't sure if it was safe to cross like this. Did I cross it? No. In that darkness, it didn't seem wise to try. Maybe there was another option. Hopefully the other section of forest will have something. Past the large pile of cotton wool there. Through the fence I could see a dilapidated outbuilding. I wondered if I could find my way around. Okay. There was a fire pit there. It was still a bit warm and a few embers still burned at the bottom. Was someone else out in these woods? Why did they abandon their campsite? 2 folding camping chairs were on the ground. One was knocked over. There were a couple of cans of beer spilled on the ground. That's just a waste of good beer. Whoever was here left this place in a hurry. But why? The cheap dome tent slept 2 people. I saw my flashlight inside and could see some bedrolls, 2 backpacks and a cooler. I felt like if I kept rooting through the campsite, someone would walk in on me. Oh well, now I'm nice and confused. Ooh. There was some personal effect shoved back into the rock. Wait, there was a notebook there too. Did I read it? Yes. Inside the cheap dollar store notebook was page after 1 page of names and lists. None of it made much sense. The newest page contained several names. Heather, Oliver, Ashley, Cheryl, Iris, Daphne, Holly, Rose, Rachel. Rachel? Her name was last on the list and had a mark beside it in blue ink. The names Daphne and Olivia had been crossed out in the same blue ink. Cheryl, Heather, and Rose had also been crossed out, but those marks looked older and more faded. No. Don't look. Oh, I was going to say, no, there's no limit. The grimy sink had a small patch in it that looked almost clean. There wasn't much in the way of clean water there, but the sink did work. Okay, I can't wash myself off or anything. Ooh, bit of board. There was a damp-smelling plank leaning against the stall door. I might have been able to cross the river with it. Did I take it? Yes. I managed to carry the plank under my arm so it didn't get in the way. The sign was the same as the first one I had seen. This must have been the exit to the other side of the woods. I had finally found the exit. Once I left, I knew I never wanted to return there. Okay, so if I want to cross the river, I've got to get in this thing. It was the middle path. Yeah, there we are. The plank I found was long enough to form a crude bridge, but I wasn't sure if it would hold. Did I use it? Yes. Woo! 2 bodies, 2 young women, were half dug into a hasty, shallow grave between the trees. The younger-looking one was still face up, her dead eyes gleaming against my flashlight. They deserved better than that. Did I clean up the gravesite? No! The thought of touching those poor girls almost made me sick. I left everything right where it was. The police could sort it out. And look at my prints all over the goddamn murder site. And that's all that, yeah, okay. Did I cross back over to the other shore? Yes. Oh, wait, no, that was the thing. There we are. The forest started to thin out a bit, and through the trees I could make out parts of the town beyond, and the first hints of light. The mysteries of that forest were behind me, but I could still feel them on my neck like a warm breath. Those girls I had found. Someone had taken them from their campsite and had murdered them. Was it the same person who had left that odd notebook? I was even more eager to get somewhere safe, and to find a way to reach Rachel. What, is the killer going to be Ross? Is that it? I know there is that whole theory that Ross is a psycho. Ah, friends. It was acceptable at the time. As I stepped through the gate, I suddenly recognised the auto parts factory where I'd worked as a machinist for all those years. The plant had closed almost 3 years ago now. Times were better then. I thought I could hear a faint rustling behind me. Maybe it was just the wind. It's never just the fucking wind. Oh goody. Not another victim. I took it from his uniform that he was a security guard there, just doing his job. His head had been severely beaten, and his face was covered with blood. He looked like his head had been viciously beaten in with something. I couldn't stand to look. Dug into the ground was a cracked old watch. It was mine! I bought it out on a trip out west with Rachel. I barely went a day without wearing it. It didn't look like it worked anymore, and it was heavy. Did I take back my watch? Yes. Even though it no longer ran, I clasped the watch around my wrist. Okay, so I'm definitely the killer, or the killer is trying to frame me. Wonderful. One of the lockers hung open. Its contents were tossed around like someone had been looking for something. Old work clothes had been picked through, and a few photos and notes had been ripped off the door and spread around. The door was locked shut, and there was a little electronic box under the handle. A sign was pasted at the front that said, "Danger! Closed for repairs." There were a large power box with 5 lights in it. Cables burst out of the box, snaking off to other parts of the factory. The metal was starting to wear, and cobwebs had collected on the corners. The box wasn't receiving power. So, guess we're going to have to reactivate that. The door was locked tight. It seemed to be connected to the power box beside me. Okay. Right, so hopefully upstairs. Every part of this plant smelled old and rotted. I noticed the old bulletin board on the wall. The board contained yellowed clippings of newspaper cartoons and notices. There were notes to and from the guys that worked here. One of them was to Norman, who was one of the older guys on the line. Norman took over a general store after the factory closed. He, Rachel, and I would get lunch every now and then. Rachel liked him because he seemed more positive despite the setback. I don't think I could say the same about me. Ah, man. Have the horns of the cuckold been pasted upon our brow, protagonist? Our old break table, the layer of dust and grime only made seeing this sting more. Looked like some beer bottles had been used on the table recently. I wondered, was that guard using it as a break room of his own? Drinking on the job? Tut tut, no wonder he got murdered. A power panel. Looked like it was shut off. Did I push the switch? Yes. The open locker was stuffed with dirty work clothes and old boots. There was a photo of a woman taped to the inside, but it was scratched out and the face was unrecognisable. That woman's photo. I knew I had to get back to Rachel to find out what happened. A power panel. Looks like it was shut off. Did I push the switch? Yes. Okay, well that's... okay, so I want it to be green, so I need to do the other one until that's green. The power panel still wasn't working. Did I try it again? There we go. It was shut tight. There was a rusty-looking card slot on the side. Okay, so I need to find a card. The door had been hastily boarded up. Okay. Weird. This was Norman's locker. The door was dented like someone had punched it. I don't remember him doing that when we worked here. My head ached, and I recalled the last time Norman, Rachel, and I had all had lunch together. Rachel seemed so much more at ease when we all hung out. Oh boy. This is, not looking positive for our protagonist here. Another panel. A utility shelf, crammed with mismatched tools and items. There was a claw hammer on the shelf. Yes. As I took the hammer, I noticed it wasn't as dusty as the rest of the tools on the shelf. Oh boy. The locker was a complete mess. Hidden at the bottom, though, was a magnetic card. Did I take the card? Yes. I slipped the keycard into my pocket. Another panel. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. The switch, yes. Wasn't working. Yes. There we go. I'm hoping the hammer will let me pry open the boarded door. I struck with the hammer. The old wooden boards go apart easily. After I removed the planks, I left the hammer on the floor. This was my locker, there in the factory. It stank of booze. There was a picture of Rachel on the inside. It looked like it had been torn up. I thought I had taken that picture home when the factory closed. This room was nothing but bad memories. The floor was littered with old liquor bottles. Looked like somebody had holed up here. The smell of open booze bottles made me retch. I'd given the stuff up a while ago. Hadn't I? Someone must have come here often to drink. There were a lot of bottles. Maybe that guard? Maybe he wasn't killed. He could have gotten drunk, slipped on a rock or something. Yeah, no. I don't think he slipped on Dwayne Johnson. Even if Black Adam is changing the power structure of the DCEU. The keycard I found seemed like it would pass through this reader. Did I use the keycard? Yes. I slid the card through the old reader and turned the handle. There was some kind of ventilation hatch here. It looked like I could jump to the room below. My leg hurt enough as it was, but I couldn't see another option. Did I jump? No. If I was too chicken to jump down that broken ladder before, why do it now? There had to be another way. The door had somehow locked itself again. There was no keycard slot on this side. Oh, well, that's fucking great. Not a ventilation hatch here. But I couldn't see another option. Did I jump? Yes. Oh, man, my leg hurt like hell. Ow. There was a cropped up letter on the floor. It had been scratched out heavily and it was hard to make out. Did I try to read the letter? Yes. Most of the letter was violently scratched out with what looked to be a ballpoint pen. All I could make out was, need to. Just don't. Drinking. Need. Norman. Who's Norman writing to? I don't think that was Norman. I stepped out of the factory, glad to be rid of its smell, of its memories. I couldn't stop thinking about that room with the bottles in it. Was that guard I found outside really drinking up there? What about Norman, and who had rooted through all those lockers? I couldn't tell where I was as I looked around, but I figured I needed to get to a road, get my bearings. Maybe Norman could help. His store wasn't that far from the turn-off to the factory, if I remembered correctly. That door had locked itself behind me. Ah, darn it. So I went through all that power opening for nothing. Okay, nothing creepy. Bo Dallas is there. Bow selector. Sounded like it was going to start raining again. I had entered Norman's place. This was the back of the store that he ran. It was oddly quiet, except for the faint sound of a television. Hi, Norman. Just breaking and entering your house. The entrance to the front of the store was locked from the inside. looked like I couldn't just pop it open. I needed a key. There was a bit of blood on the keyhole. Oh dear. What the hell? One of Rachel's old autumn coats hung on the rack. That was Norman's bedroom, wasn't it? What was this doing there? A speck of something dark and wet stained one of the sleeves. Oh dear. There was a well-maintained gun cabinet here in Norman's room. I didn't know much about guns, but it looked like he kept a few hunting rifles. Okay, so did Norman do it? Did I do it? Did everyone just trip and fall and hit their head on Dwayne Johnson? Oh dear. Yeah, that's blood. What was this? It looked like a pull chain hanging from the ceiling. I wondered where it led. Did I pull the chain? Yes. I gave the chain a single tug, and a simple folding ladder from the attic popped down. The TV still flickered some indecipherable channel. I couldn't make out what was on the screen, but that glow just gave me the chills. Oh dear. Oh, hi Norman. Oh no. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Norman, my co-worker and one of the few friends I had in this town, lay dead beside his armchair. His face and shirt were covered in blood. It looked like he'd been stabbed or something trying to get up. His eyes were still wide with shock. Norman, what was Rachel doing here? Why did you have her coat? Norman, maybe you deserved better. You probably did. Did I close his eyes? No, I'm not touching the corpse! Sorry, Norman, I was too confused to worry about you. I needed to find Rachel, to find some answers, and to not get framed for murder. Even if I did probably actually do it. There was a large cardboard box that hadn't been sealed. Did I open it? Yes. I opened up the old cardboard box and wasn't entirely surprised by what I saw. There was more of Rachel's things, more of my wife's clothes, photos, shoes, even that old radio I gave her. Why, Rachel, what are you doing here with Norman? Oh, maybe I'm dead. Maybe I'm a spooky ghost. Spooky ghost. I guess this was Norman's kitchen table. He kept it clean enough, but there were water rings from 2 cups still there in the wood. I'd never been to Norman's place before. At least, I didn't remember ever doing so. The kitchen trash bin smelled fresh. I didn't dig through that mess, did I? Yes. I found a hairpin amongst the rotting food and trash and pocketed it. Ooh, gave me some larceny. Corpse. I used the hairpin to pick the lock. The hairpin snapped in half, so I threw it away. The general store was small, but it was clean. It had the usual things: postcards, snacks, magazines, and canned goods. I never went there much. Rachel usually stopped by after work if we needed anything. The register was mostly empty, and a fat stack of travel magazines sat beside it. The icebox seemed to be unplugged. Must have been off for a while. Most of its contents were half melted. There were various postcards from the area, especially from the tourist traps. One of the postcards showed an old black and white photo of the water tower. It looked to be in much better shape then. That night continued to take horrible turn after horrible turn. It had been weeks since I'd last seen Norman. But to find him like that... Who could have done that to him? Seeing that dusty box of those old clothes was a shock. How long had they been there? And what was Rachel doing at Norman's place? I felt like I had only discovered more questions, no answers. But I was close to home. It was time to find out the truth. It was locked. This isn't the right gate. Well, that explains it then. The gate was locked tight. This wasn't my house. Ah. The gate was locked tight. This wasn't my house. The neighbourhood's local postbox. A letter was sticking out as if someone hadn't pushed it all the way in. I knew it wasn't right, but did I look at the letter? Sure, why not? In for a penny, in for a pound. The envelope was addressed to Norman. There was no return address, but the handwriting looked familiar. I took a deep breath and tore open the package. Well, I mean, Norman's not going to need it. Norman, I'm sending this to you in a letter because I'm afraid to tell you this in person. What we did, well, it was wrong. My husband isn't an easy man to be with, but he is my husband, and your friend. I need some time to sort this out, away from you both. I'm going away for a while. I'm going to tell him, Norman. So, don't you think you can hold... Okay, so I think that's meant to be, so don't think you can hold that against me. So don't you think... Okay, that does work, grammatically. Maybe we'll work it out. I'm not sure I even want to. But he deserves at least that much. Goodbye. Oh. Yep. I had the wrong gate. This one was locked. Okay. Well, why is there an option to them if I know they're the wrong gate? I had entered our backyard. The rain gave me a terrible sense of foreboding, and it chilled me through my clothes. I was expectant, but also afraid. Maybe your wife has also slipped and fallen on Dwayne Johnson. I held my breath as I approached our backyard. I was terrified to step inside. The house was painfully quiet. The only sound was my own breathing, ragged and strained. I flicked the light switch by the door. The power was off, but not the ominous weird sound. I remembered having breakfast here on this very table. Was that yesterday? Or some time before? The table was clean. It hadn't been used any time recently. The door to the basement. It was locked. Where had I put the damned key? Oh no, the armchair fell over. The front door was locked from inside. I couldn't go out though. I needed to see if Rachel was here. The door was stuck shut. There was an old-fashioned keyhole underneath the handle. Our television. I had purchased it before I knew I was going to lose my job. I felt pretty guilty about it afterwards, but by then it was too late. Oh, and a condom. Man, these condom lamps are all the rage. Our hallway mirror had been smashed, its pieces scattered around the floor. I couldn't really make myself out anymore. I wasn't sure I wanted to. My laptop had been left on and only had a tiny bit of power left. On the screen was a website about the old water tower. There was a key in the top drawer of my desk. Did I take it? Yes. I pocketed the key. The laptop was warm. It had been running for a while. This was the one I just came from. My short-term memory is amazing. Our sink, which needed to be replaced. One of the taps always stuck, but I hadn't got around to fixing it yet. We were lucky enough to get a house with one of those wonderful old claw-footed bathtubs. It seemed impractical at times, but it was part of what made the house home. That old house was charming for sure, but it wasn't always easy. Those are not the lyrics to that song, This Old House, I swear. The books were there. The books there were half mine, half Rachel's. Now that I look closely at it, it looked like the man in that house had some of the same books as I did. My wife's, Rachel's, suitcase was sitting on the bed. It was closed, but I had a feeling of what was in it. Did I open it? Yes. Rachel's suitcase contained clothes, toiletries, and a train ticket. Is this what you were going to do with Norman? I unlocked the basement door. There were old Christmas decorations in the box. I couldn't even remember our last Christmas. Well, I believe you gave her your heart, but the very next day she gave it away. The garbage bags were stuffed with old paint cans and supplies. There was a dirty old key here. Did I take the key? Yes. I took the small key and tried to remember what it unlocked. There were old clothes, tools, and other things we obviously hadn't thrown out yet. I had put up this divider wall last summer so we could create a separate room in the basement. I hadn't finished it yet, so the door was stuck and the drywall was poorly installed. I might have been able to break through if I found something heavy enough. Oh wait, I already did the last Christmas joke. Looked like there was plaster and an old trowel in here too. We had way too much junk. Okay, so I need to find something heavy. So now I have to find something heavy. The front door was locked. Rachel was here. Well, I'm pretty sure she's not, dude. Her suitcase is still in the bed. The grimy key I had found in the basement unlocked the door. It looked like the room had been tossed around. The furniture was a mess. Did somebody break in here? There was an old crowbar on the floor. Did I need to take the crowbar? Yes. I lifted the heavy crowbar. I appreciated its weight. I swear this sort of looks like he's just falling down the stairs. Did I break through the wall with the crowbar? Yes! With a heave, I swung the crowbar at the wall. I smashed a hole large enough to step through. As I stepped through the broken wall, my breath caught in my throat. This was it. Was Rachel down there? Was she okay? Don't look. but she looked. He looked, and he lost his innocence. A jellyfish. Don't look. A filthy-looking pile of rags had been dumped in the corner. The stench of them was awful and made my eyes water. I was terrified to even touch the pile, to see what lay within. But I knew I had to. I had come this far. After all this searching, after all I had seen, when I looked within my rags, did I finally find my Rachel? Oh, you actually get to choose. Okay. So, do I think Rachel is in there? I mean, that would make the logical sense. But on the other hand, I'm curious as to what will happen if it isn't Rachel. So, you know what? I'm going to go with no. The rags were wet, matted in dirt and grime, but inside that tattered mess was no sign of my beloved wife. Rachel wasn't there. I looked around in confusion, trying to figure out what to do next. If she wasn't there, where was she? What had I been searching for this entire time? I remembered the look on Rachel's face when I came home. Didn't I? Then the awful realization hit me right in the gut. I'd been looking at this the wrong way, hadn't I? This is what you've been trying to tell me all along, isn't it? I couldn't find Rachel there, and I won't find her anywhere else, because she was never there at all, was she? I stumbled back upstairs, the pain in my leg just a dull ache now, and sat down in my bedroom. My mind was spinning, and the ache I felt before was near crippling. Finally, I could no longer fight the exhaustion, and as I tried to grab hold of something that would make sense of all of this, I must have drifted off. I guess these books were actually mine then. In the shards of that broken mirror I could see my face, gaunt now, hollow and sickly, and immensely troubled. What other illusions had I dreamed up? What other truths were waiting to be exposed? In the dirty, faded glass, I looked like nothing more than a faint shadow. I used to tell myself that Rachel was the one who wanted to keep the tub. When was the last time I showered? I smelt awful. There was only one set of toiletries by the sink. It was the keycard I found in the factory, the one that allowed me to slip through that door. It seemed to me that it was probably Norman's. But if that was true, what was he doing back at the plant? Did I think Norman was going back to the factory? No, I don't think so. No, somebody else was using that locker room. But who? The laptop had finally run out of power. How long had it been left running? I had made up my mind. Okay, well that's nice. You wanna share, dude? It was the letter I had taken from the postbox. It had gotten a bit wet in the rain. But who wrote that letter then? Who What was Norman seeing? Oh no. Norman. If I was wrong about Rachel, then what about him? Did I do that horrible thing to him? Yes, I must have. Why? Did we fight, or was I tricked into thinking he was sneaking around with Rachel? What was happening to me? I had that old TV for so long I didn't know if I could ever replace it. Am I going to have to backtrack through the whole game? Because that would be a little irritating, I'm going to be honest with you. My old office safe sat on the floor. It used a little passcode lock. Did I try to open it? The safe used an 8-digit code. What was that damn code again? No fucking clue. No, that wasn't it. Damn, I couldn't remember. I surmised that at least 2 of the names in that musty notebook had been recent victims. Heather, Ashley, Cheryl, H-O-A-C, Iris, Daphne, Holly, Rose. Those poor girls that I'd found dead in the forest. I wondered what happened to the other names on that list, or the ones scratched out of that desk in those wet tunnels. Okay, what was that other man up to? I can't remember the fucking names. Shit. Last one was IDHR. Wait, no, the first one was HOAC. No, that's it. Damn, I couldn't remember. It seemed like I had seen all there was. Maybe, I thought, I was ready to go back into the basement. Maybe there wouldn't be anything for me to find, but I had to take a last look. If I was guilty, I could take this to a warm, safe place and do something about it. Did I pick up the knife? No, there were other means of dealing with this. The wall was cracked and pitted. I was told by an inspector the basement had been partially filled in before I bought the house, but by the look of that wall, I was going to need to fix the foundation. Everything smelled musty and old down there. So there wasn't anything there. Well, that was helpful. That was it. With Rachel gone, I couldn't stand to be in that house a moment longer. Did I leave and say goodbye to that nightmare forever? Yes. Since I had arrived in town, things had been difficult. Working in the plant, though, had been good for me. It kept me in line, gave me something to do, and helped me get away from my past. When the factory closed, everything changed. I guess that's when I had started sleepwalking, disappearing for hours at a time. Drinking was probably just a way to deal with that. It was almost as if I was trying to beat my brain at its own game. Things stopped making sense some time after that, and my memories of what happened are still in flux. I suppose that was when Rachel came along. This night had been the worst of my entire life. Would it even be possible to bounce back from everything that had happened? Everything I'd seen? You know, in a way, I almost wish I hadn't even woken up tonight. It would have spared me a lot of pain. For starters, the man I had found in that old place, who had killed him. And why was I even there? After making it out of those tunnels, I thought the sewers might feel safer. I was wrong. The security tape I had watched showed someone being attacked by what looked like 2 people. But who was it that was attacked? Just for a second, though, think about something else. Think about those poor girls I had accidentally discovered in the old forest. The notebook I had found in the woods had names in them. Names I think I saw somewhere else before. It couldn't have been me behind that, could it? I would never do such a thing to such sweet, innocent people. But anyway, Norman couldn't have been the one going back to the factory, so who else could it have been? Maybe that other man I found? Maybe it was just a guard all along. You know, you've really screwed me up. I feel like I can't trust a damn thing I've seen anymore. I had to catch my breath, to take it all in, to each point until the factory. Things had only gotten worse. But then going to Norman's store, that's where the confusion and doubt started to set in. That's where my perspective on all this really started to change. Norman, you bastard. I had killed you, and it was clear to me now why. You had taken Rachel from me. You were going to take her away altogether. In the end, you got what you deserved. But as painful as all of that was, oh no, I couldn't bear to think about it again. After all I had seen and done, finally coming home was supposed to be the end to this entire ordeal. I had no idea, though, that it was only the beginning. When I had first stepped through the kitchen door, the silence had been unnerving. But to think that I went through all of that, completely unaware of what I would discover. Had I killed Norman, thinking that that there was something going on? Everything that I held dear and true was now spinning around me. I had nothing to ground me, nothing to give me purpose or even the faintest hope of reason. Without Rachel, without what I thought was Rachel, I was lost forever. As the door swung open, I could smell damp grass and the closeness of the air. After everything, it felt like I had more questions than answers. You made me see the truth. I'll give you that. But now I was completely lost. You took away the only thing that had kept me going. I was sure word would get out, and soon enough the police would come looking for me. And what then? Would you be there to show me the way? What will I do then? Hey, don't blame me, dude. I'm just the player. Okay, well, that was... yeah. It was interesting. I'm not entirely sure that ending worked. I mean, I'm assuming there's different endings depending on whether or not you find the body and everything. I mean, I suppose it's sort of a gentle poke at the concept of player agency. Home is dedicated to my wife Nancy. Watch your back. Okay. The end. Oh. That was, yeah. That was interesting, if nothing else. But yeah, I hope you found it interesting. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you did, please do like, subscribe, click the little notification button. You can see more cult-related antics over on thecultteandice.net. You can talk to me on Twitter at fox_sanguine. And thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.